Welcome back. Rising Grounds Respect and Responsibility is a 12-week voluntary program for individuals in the Bronx and Brooklyn who have caused harm to their partners and are looking for guidance and support on healthier alternatives within their relationships. They also have two upcoming events. Father's Day Pledge taking place on June 13th, and their Therapy Comes to the Bronx event taking place on June 27th. Please join me in welcoming the program director for Rising Grounds, Alvaro Pinzon. Alvaro, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, so let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about what is respect and responsibility, what does the program aim to do, and who is it for?
Yes, so Respect and Responsibility is an accountability program, specifically helping folks take accountability or responsibility for any harmful behavior that they've exhibited in their relationship, their intimate relationships. It is also an education program because we teach healthy relationship skills. And so between those two things, we cover a lot of topics that come up in intimate relationships. And it is for anyone. It is for anyone who feel they're at risk of causing harm to their partners in their relationship, or have already caused some harm, are concerned about their own behavior, and really want support to make some changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I've read through a few times that this program isn't court mandated, it's voluntary. So can you tell us why is that distinction important?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So this program is actually funded by the Mayor's Office in New York City, the Mayor's Office to End Domestic and Gender-Based Violence. And I wanted to just highlight that for a second because this program came about because so many survivors of intimate partner violence were asking for something that could be outside of the legal system, outside of the court system. And so this was the creation of Respect and Responsibility, and I'm very happy to be the director of that program. I also want to mention that two other providers across the city also offer this program. That's the RISE Project and the Urban Resources Institute. And it's really important because through surveys, survivors of intimate partner violence express concern or fear about the court system. And so basically what happened was like, it's not for everyone. And so we need another option so that folks can come and take responsibility for that behavior.
Absolutely. And a main mission in this program is focusing on accountability without shame. So tell me, why is that so important? And how has that, in a sense, I guess, maybe differed you from other programs and made your program stand out?
Yeah, you know, I think there is some natural sort of remorse, guilt, and shame when it comes to harmful behaviors in our relationships. Something that really grounds me around that work is just a quote that I read a while ago, which is like, shame craves darkness and secrecy, but what it needs is light and acceptance. And so we see shame as a disconnector. It's a barrier to dialogue. It's a barrier to transformative change. So we try really hard to really address it, put it on the table, ask folks if they're feeling any of that, and we work really hard to sort of put that aside and really work with action, right? Like, so you're acknowledging the behavior, let's let go of the shame, right? And let's work towards changing that.
That's so great because in the end, when you have that shame, it makes you less you don't want to go. You don't want to,
That's right.
because you feel like there's a finger pointing at you the entire time, and you do feel like this shame and this darkness. So not only is it a welcoming environment, but it's voluntary and there's no shame behind it. So do you think that because of that, there's been maybe an influx of people who are willing to come to your program?
Yes, I think it's quite new for folks. I think, we on some level we are used to going through the criminal legal system or child welfare system, right? When intimate partner violence, domestic violence arises, and so message I would love to give to everyone is, you don't have to wait until that happens, right? You don't have to wait until the behavior escalates. If you fear that you're at risk, if you are concerned about some of the ways you're reacting, come to us. We are a free program and non-mandated, so you can come give us a try. If it's not for you, that's okay.
Absolutely. And so we have your mantra here, which I do want to read. The more connected I am to my feelings, the more present I can be, and safer those around me will be. So that is such a beautiful message. Can you tell us how that idea plays out in sessions?
Yeah, so I want to say that mantra actually came from a participant, which was really, really amazing. And we do a lot of emotional work. I will say our program is for anyone of any gender, and we do offer it in English and Spanish. and most of our participants have been men. And so this plays out in group because I think so many of us men, as little boys and through our lives, are really kind of taught in different ways to disconnect ourselves from our emotions, maybe with the exception of anger. And so this plays out because we do a lot of emotional expression work and really kind of practicing in group, in real time, to describe our feelings, right? And so I think the more we can tap into those parts of ourselves, I think the safer we are, right? And the safer those around us are. So it really, really plays out in a lot of those ways in group.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I like that you mentioned that because at the top of the show, when we spoke with the psychiatrist, we mentioned how in the Latino community, there's this stigma around mental health. And I think here that's almost the same thing with men. There's this stigma about releasing those emotions and releasing that expression. So in that, tell us how R&R incorporates restorative justice principles and how it's different from the criminal legal system's approach.
Yeah, so the criminal legal system approach is really looking at what laws have been broken, and then who broke those laws, and then what punishment is appropriate. And restorative justice really looks at what harm has been caused, who was harmed, and who should take responsibility for it, right? So in that way, it's very much our model of accountability, which isn't about punishment and isn't about shame or pointing the finger, as you said, but it's really about stepping up and taking responsibility. And so another way that restorative justice plays into our model is that restorative justice, the principle of it is that folks are needed in community and we can't throw anybody away. And so this model of being in relationship with each other and being in community came from many different indigenous lineages. So it's been around for a very long time, but it was really born out of that we need every single one of us. And so what happens when harm is caused in a community, instead of discarding that person and putting them somewhere far away because we need them to be in the community and play other roles, they developed a way to talk about the harm and to take responsibility. So we incorporate all that in our group work.
That's amazing. Again, thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about some of the events that you have coming up. On Friday, June 13th, you have the 16th annual Father's Day Pledge Against Violence. Tell us about that.
Yes, so this is a pledge that is inviting men, fathers, father figures, young men to come and take this pledge, essentially denouncing all violence, but specifically focusing on intimate partner violence, domestic violence, gender-based violence, which is why there's such a strong focus on men and fathers. And it really is about two things: denouncing that violence, making sure you are not practicing any of that violence, and also promising and pledging to not stay silent when you see that violence and it's happening around us. And so it is going to be on the steps of Brooklyn Borough Hall. A lot of us men gather and we actually read a pledge together out loud. We sign the pledge, and it is now in 55 cities. It started in New York City in 2010, and so I'll be there and invite all men, fathers, father figures who want to come and take that pledge with us.
Awesome. And now on June 27th, Rising Ground's Atlas program is bringing therapy to the Bronx with a community event at DeVoe Park. What can attendees expect from this day?
Yes, so my colleagues at the Atlas program at Rising Ground are putting together this event. It's it's going to be like a block party, but with a side of healing. And so there'll be very skilled therapists on the ground in the event, just kind of mingling with folks and chatting with them. And so they really have an approach that helps people feel like they're talking to a friend and kind of venting with a friend. There'll also be some private tents if folks want to have a confidential conversation, want a shoulder to lean on, as well as case managers that will be providing information about more concrete resources like food resources, housing resources, legal support.
And so for those at home who are watching who may want to get involved on either of these events, tell us, is there anywhere they go to sign up or?
Yes, I mean, the easiest way would be to come on June 27th to DeVoe Park, say hello to one of the Rising Ground staff. If you are looking for resources for a friend, a family member, you can leave their name and phone number or leave your own. You will get a call back. You could also go on our website, risingground.org, and look for the Atlas program there.
And so maybe if there's anybody who wants to get involved on the volunteer side, is that something that's also open or?
Yes, so the event will be from 2 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
On June 27th. If you're interested in volunteering, I would say go on our website, risingground.org, and say that you want to volunteer so they can help you prep for that day. And if not, show up a little bit early and say that you want to help.
Awesome. And now tell me a little bit about what the feedback of the program has been like. What have you heard, and in your perspective, what are people saying about the benefits and the impact of this program?
Yeah, so the community has been really receptive to these kinds of events. I think a couple of reasons. One, again, the approach, the very relational, friendly approach, where it's not like you're sitting down, and it could be very, scary for some folks who've never been to therapy and whatnot, to sit down in front of somebody and just start talking about your life. So this is a lot more conversational, and there have been, instances where young men are sort of playing basketball, having fun, and the sort of the block party kind of atmosphere, and then we'll be open to doing an impromptu short therapy session for the first time, and start opening up about stress they're feeling, anxieties they're having, and things that are going on in their lives. We've also heard from moms who feel like this is a moment to sort of take a break and be able to talk to someone, right? While they're really holding down the family day to day, and so I think we've heard that they feel seen and really heard by the therapeutic staff. We've also heard from folks who have been on waiting lists to find a therapist, which can be really difficult in the city. And so in these kinds of events, they can connect with somebody in the moment, leave their name and number, and they will get a call back from that person and schedule to see a therapist. So, yeah.
Awesome. So, Alvaro, thank you so much again for joining us today. This was so beneficial and just so much information. So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
To learn more about their upcoming Father's Day event, please go to their website, risingground.org. We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the re-cable cast at 5 and 8 p.m. tonight on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can catch a new episode of Open with Darren Jaime on Wednesday and Rena Valentin on Friday. I'm Brittany Skyler. Take care of yourselves, and don't forget, paciencia y fe goes a long way.